welcome to Talking Horses Sunday edition, final Sunday of 2025 here at the Big A. I'm Maggie Wolfno alongside Sarah El-Badwi, and 10 races on the card today. Sarah, so looking forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a great card yesterday, some big time performances from a couple of horses that were expected to show up and do
I would say so.
something big, but I think Mo 88, extremely impressive.
Got a 101, right?
I think so, and then
Yeah.
full screen as well, able to really run off the screen too. So, yeah, it's hard to believe there's only a couple more days left.
I know. Some fast
Flies
racing.
by.
And a job well done to the crew who got the track ready to go after we received about 2 to 4 inches here in the area. Track was very fair.
Yeah.
And obviously we saw some horses really take to it, as Sarah mentioned. But we do have 10 races on tap for you today. And the only way to play is through your NYRA Bets account. If you're not a member, sign up today. Use promo code BONUS200 to earn that $200 deposit match bonus. Check out NYRABets.com. We also have a couple opt-in features, that 10% exacta bonus here at the Big A, as well as over at Oaklawn Park, the 10% win bonus. As I said, make sure you opt in over at NYRA Bets. And then if you want to earn some loyalty points over at Santa Anita, it is what, their third? Opening day. That's right. They pushed it back. Thank you very much. At Santa Anita. So when you bet any race on the Santa Anita opening day card, you get 10 times reward points. Again, another opt-in, and we will have the cross-country pick 5 with Oaklawn Park. It starts here in race number 9 and ends up with Oaklawn's race 9, and the feature over there, race 8, is the Oaklawn Anywhere Overnight Stakes. And you can catch all of that on America's Day at the races. FS1 today, 2:30 to 6 p.m. Sarah will start things off here in today's first race. I need to scroll back. Come on, iPad, catch up with me here. With a maiden special weight for the New York Breds fillies going a mile. And I mean, I thought there were 2, maybe 3 horses you wanted in here. We'll start by taking a look back at the November 20th affair that featured Morgana's Moment as well as Lady Delilah. Now watch Morgana's Moment. She's a first-time starter here. She comes from a family of runners, but some quirky runners at that. I remember her brothers, one wouldn't leave the paddock. He would freeze. You're going to see Javier Castellano have a pretty tough time here. She starts getting out pretty badly from the onslaught here, and she's going to continue to do that throughout the running of the race, Sarah.
Yeah, it's so crazy how some of these genetics for quirky behavior can translate to multiple offspring. But you can see that she is trying to make her own path going towards the outside rail throughout this entire time. We see her really disconnected from the rest of the field while she veers out and is corrected at the break. It's a constant correction and conversation that he needs to be having with her to just keep her running somewhat with the field. And look, she was green in that race and ends up finishing 4th. They put the blinkers on in this spot, but I just wanted to see a little bit more from a horse who ended up being so difficult for her rider first time out, and just thought that we were dealing with a horse who I thought would likely get the front with Lady Delilah, who's had plenty of opportunities, but at least there are limited starts going this distance on the dirt, and having that early advantage in here I thought would be extremely beneficial.
And let's not forget, they were both beaten by a heavily favored 2 to 5 off script that day. Morgana's Moment, she wore a hood in her first start, indicating that she could be a little bit of a tough nut. It'll be interesting to see what kind of blinkers they put on her today. Now, the Kevin Barn this time around will send out Bodegas, who is stretching out in distance here. I thought has met some okay fields, and she did have a little bit of trouble going into the turn. She got steady significantly in her last start, losing all ground and made up a little bit of ground in late in the stretch, and just kind of given her running style, I thought she might benefit from getting to the mile.
Yeah, definitely. I think that stretching out will help this horse. I think that she's one that she has come out of some live races. She's just never really been bet. And it'll be interesting to see where she's placed tactically now that she is stretching out in distance, because she hasn't really been up close whatsoever while sprinting, but that could change.
Exactly. As race 2, an optional allowance for the fillies and mares going a mile. We'll start the discussion in here with number 7 is where we'll start with Mersal for Linda Rice. I think she's incredibly proficient at this distance. And last time she was pressing the pace while too wide. It was kind of a weird race where I'm buzzy. And it was a day that saving ground was probably beneficial. And I'm buzzy. I mean, she just blew by this field on the outside.
She did. I mean, this is one of those horses where I have a tough time reading what sort of performance we're going to get from Mersal, because she can either be really on it and show up in a big way, or sometimes she leaves you with these head-scratching types of performances. And I think that even with the difficulty that she had in that start two-back, she still ran very well to be able to get the victory over a horse like Penn Street, who ended up finishing third in there. But I think that last time, just that showing speed and then fading and being the price that she was, I expected perhaps a little bit more.
I do think that Penn Street had an excuse there as we both land on her. Turning back in distance, she was able to get up and get the win going the mile and eighth. As I mentioned, she stumbled really badly in that October 18th effort. And I just think she's much the horse to be here for Linda Rice, now third off the claim.
Yeah, this race seems to run through Linda, in my opinion. I mean, it seems
Guys,
as though...
I don't know what you're showing here.
Oh, bold strength. He's later, right?
Yeah. If this is race 2, that we're meant to have a video for Mersal, but whatever.
I thought you sent in Patty Cakes, Penn Street, and then Penn Street and Mersal later.
Whatever.
All
right, we'll start with Patty Cakes. We'll talk about Patty Cakes here as she comes in from Parks. I was really impressed with her effort here, Patty Cakes. She was kind of on the wide hunt throughout, and she just put them to bed.
She seems like one that has done well switching barns and was able to sort of carry that form and run the exact same by her speed figure when shortening up in distance, switching over from the Jamie Ness barn. I think that she makes plenty of sense coming here, stretching back out in distance. She can be forward. She's shown that she can have some forward position sprinting as well as going the mile, so I expect her to be up close. I just wonder if she might be running into some horses that might be tougher, but it's a question mark that's who's going to show up on the day, because you don't have the most consistent types in this field.
Yeah, no, I agree. We both have kind of similar horses throughout here. I thought, maybe she was on that upward tick and trajectory here, but we both landed on Penn Street. Moving on to race number 3, claiming 20, going a mile. Let's take a look here at Shipsational, whom I know the aggregation is the horse to beat, dropping in class, but Sarah, I couldn't get over this effort. Looms Boldly was able to get away with murder, I thought, on the front end, going the 7 for a long distance on a track where this type of style is beneficial. And we're going to see Shipsational here just launch this wide rally from behind, the only horse kind of making up significant ground. And it felt like maybe he's rounding back into some of the better form that we've seen from him for Gustavo Rodriguez.
Completely possible. I thought that this was an impressive effort, and I totally agree with you. He had every reason to not run this kind of race, given how the dynamics were of this one. I just wonder, is he better being sort of that closing sprinter type? I thought that while he didn't have much pace to close into in there, I think the shorter distances perhaps help him a little bit. But at the same time, he's been able to show up and run similar numbers going the mile distance. And I think we just both have similar thoughts on aggregation being extremely difficult to trust.
Exactly.
And this is a big drop.
It is a significant drop, and Chad Brown, he generally wins with these types, but I don't know, he's put some serious bad taste in my mouth.
And the last race, it's not as though he was doing his usual run second at a short price. It's a significant regression, and I'm sure that's why he's being dropped in class for the way that he is. I just couldn't take him at what I thought would be an overwhelmingly short price on top, though I think that his early position does give him an advantage.
That is fair. As lots of trouble, he does not have said early position.
No, he does not.
But the last time we saw him at this level did result in a win in a pretty fast figure as well.
And look, he's just been facing horses that I think would be extremely short prices if they were in this field, even more so than a horse like Aggregation dropping in class. And we've seen a lot of the last 3 races that he's been in be extremely productive moving forwards. Horses like What You Talking About, Quick to Accuse ran well the other day. Even Whittington Park has his moments. And so coming in fresh in here, I thought that maybe he might be one that this is the first time that they've brought him back on the dirt off of a little bit of a break. They usually have brought him back in a turf sprint. So there is the ability somewhere in there to have some more forward position.
I thought so
Will we
too.
see it? I don't know.
Right.
But it's there.
And at least he gets that outside post position where it does give him the best opportunity, if it's there,
To try it.
Yes,
exactly.
Market Maven coming in here for Jamie Ness, second off the claim. I thought this replay was worth showing because he did everything wrong in the first half of the race here. He's going to break a bit slow there. He's number 3. He's in the blue colors on the outside. And he's going forward, obviously wants to be forward, and then he says, oh no, I'm not going to be able to get there. So he checks him badly, and then he gets a little bit teed off. He's going to run off here and go up and challenge that early leader for supremacy. And then he's still able to win by 2. I mean, usually horses that do this, they're not able to go and put a field to bed like he did.
No, I agree completely. I think that he really wanted it this day. You could say he wanted to be more forward, and he wasn't going to listen to the rider's suggestion to perhaps not be. So I think that being able to put away another horse that was forwardly placed in here. Now, he was a shorter price. He was kind of supposed to show up this day, but it was a move forward off of some of his recent efforts, and maybe he just fits at this class level coming in. So I wouldn't completely dismiss him either, and he has a little bit more proven early speed than the horse I picked on top.
Yeah, fair enough, as he will cut back to the 1-turn mile. We'll take a break here after race number 4 so we can kind of get to that pick 6 in its entirety. But taking a look here at this 17-5 non-2 life mile and an eighth. Sarah will start, but who did you go to?
I went to Caddy Master.
Caddy Master. I had interest in him. Finally put it together last time. We'll see. I think he gets a little bit more of a slight and very slight class test as he comes back to New York for Horacio de Paz.
He's one that he has that outlier of a number last time out when he dropped and was able to control pretty much on the front end. But I like that he's shown early speed a couple of times in his career, and he's had the limited opportunities on the dirt. He has shown a couple of faster races on the turf, so maybe that figure isn't as much of an outlier as it may seem at first glance. And I think that this is a tougher field, but I also felt as though there wasn't really any early speed on paper in here, and that maybe that advantage would be enough for him.
Yeah, that is fair. There was really not much early speed in here whatsoever to report home on. I went with Good Bally, another horse that, like you said, does not have much early speed, seems to be the theme. But I really liked in the paddock last time, and he was pretty bad. But he does it to himself a bit as far as the starts. You know, he kind of breaks a step slow, and then he allows everybody to kind of squeeze him and take his path. And I think that's what happened last time. A race that, you know, he really wasn't able to make up that much ground, but
Tougher field,
obviously, as he kind of gets cut in half here. Second off the claim for Linda. So I'm going to take him. He was also coming off a bit of a layoff last time. So I do have some interest in number 1, Indy Rags, because he's a horse that comes in as at least reported as a new gelding, which would make sense because we haven't seen him since September. He was, the one time I saw him, which was at Saratoga 3 starts ago, so badly behaved, so distracted, displaying all the bad behaviors that a colt or a horse
that would lead to a gelding.
Exactly. And he still won that day, just being better than the rest of his competition. I know his 2 races since then haven't been great. He does move to Charlie Baker, which I always pay attention to. So I thought he might be a little bit intriguing, maybe with Ruben Silvera aboard. Speaking of the lack of speed, he could find himself in a more forward position. I know that Desperate Proposals, he's installed at 3-1 on the morning line, but why are you supposed to like this horse?
I think it's because originally Flavien Prat was listed to ride, which won't be happening because
correct, he's not riding here.
Things have changed. So I think that perhaps some of the morning line may have been influenced by who.
Yeah, fair enough. Absolutely. As we will, anybody else you want to talk about?
I think Doomed is a little bit interesting, but I think we hit on the main 2.
Yeah, he feels like better turf horse at the end of the day. It's the
agree.
one good dirt race. That was for Brad Cox.
Right, exactly.
That's what's concerning, as we'll take a break here on Talking Horses.
You bet with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Download the Naira Bets app to play today and get a $200 deposit bonus. Watch live horse racing, Get expert picks, boost your bankroll with weekly promotions, and hone your handicapping skills with exclusive tips and tutorials. Download the NYRA Bets app now. Sign up now to claim your $200 deposit match bonus. You bet with NYRA Bets.
Welcome back to Talking Horses. Sarah and Maggie along with you for the ride through this 10 race card here that we have on. Ooh, I get to use one of my favorite words, penultimate.
Oh, exciting.
Aqueduct 2025 card. As we'll start things off here with the late pick 6 in race 5.
Pick 6?
The pick 6, sorry. I don't know where late came from. I'm used to saying late pick 5.
Yeah.
Maiden special weight going a mile. Several have had chances in here, but one that has not is number 5, Bold Strength. As we'll take a look here at his debut from Churchill Downs, and there he is in those Juddmonte colors. He didn't break badly, Sarah, but boy, he lacked some early foot.
He certainly did. And so stretching out in distance off this little bit of a break, you hope to see a step forward for this horse in terms of where he's positioned early. He's sort of that one that just potentially has the upside in here, having only the one start. And the lone half sibling that was able to win, did win first time out, was for Juddmonte and Brad Cox, did earn an 89 Beyer speed figure, never to be seen from again. So coming back in here, you don't really know what to expect from this horse now stretching out in distance, and it was a little bit more turfy on the dam side of the family. But I feel as though he's one that if he can improve at all off of that first race, I feel as though he is a major player, because the horse that you have on top, he's the one that makes the most sense in here, but the seconds are adding up.
Oh, I don't disagree with you at all. And I looked up a stat for Brad Cox. Second start, stretching out in distance with maidens, 40 for 139. So that's 29%, $1.67 ROI. Yeah, I just thought that Salvation, he's run some of the faster races. And you would think, though, with Bold Strength stretching out and the fact that he broke so well first time out, he should be forward in here. But at least we know that Salvation can be a forward type. I thought he did have a little bit of trouble coming out of the chute last time, where he got steady back from that inside post position. Tipped out stretch, chased the winner home. He's been beaten by some pretty nice horses, though.
He has. And those last two races are just faster than what we've seen from anybody here. So you are taking that question mark with Bold Strength coming in, stretching out off of the lone start to see if that is a repeatable performance or one that could step forward, because there is a big gap between this horse as well as the rest of this field. So a Duration has a couple races that would put him within striking range, but only a couple, and we see him making a barn change as well, and he's had more opportunities.
Yeah, and the thing with this horse, as they did buy him at the horses of racing age sale at Keeneland, 120,000. Obviously, going from Chad Brown's barn is never the easiest thing to do, though I have the utmost respect for Mike Pino. Well, check out his race back on May 17th, where he lost by a head. Sarah, to me, this horse likes to hang.
Yeah. I think we've seen that with the 2 second place finishes, 3 thirds, and just seems as though he puts himself right there, but doesn't want to really assert himself as a clear-cut
He wants to lug in a bit,
He wants to run with his friends.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He says, carry me, save me.
And it's just a pattern that we've seen from him, as well as a couple of these types of horses, where these just are not the horses that I can usually pick on top, because while they run well, they don't necessarily have that final punch, not because they don't have the ability, but because of where they want to be placed.
Yeah, I thought, just speaking of not putting himself in a good position, but Redouty in here is the other horse. Is kind of second off of a layoff here for Miguel Clement. Obviously comes out of that good race out. Salvation came out of 2 starts ago. Life and Times we saw come back with 100. Time to Win. He earned a 103 for that win as well. And he just did not break that well. And I'm wondering, shaking off the ring rust, could we see him just put himself in a little bit of a better position? Not that he's shown an abundance of speed in the past.
Yeah, I mean, that's completely possible. And another one that I thought could be a little bit more forward in here as well is Limo towards the outside.
Sure.
Who did show early speed last time out, was on the turf and ended up fading in there and had plenty of trouble first time on the dirt. So relatively unknown on this surface. I just thought that this was a tough field overall to be
To get
gambling
back to the
on
dirt, yeah.
with this one who has not run a race fast enough as some of the others to take that chance on.
Interesting race nonetheless. Is race 6, claiming 50, going a mile. We did see some defections of some long shots, but I think the race, in a way, kind of goes through what you think of the Celestial Gaze race back on December 10th. Make the rider Sahin Savachi on Celestial Gaze, as we'll take a look back at this one for Rick Dutrow, where honestly, it was a true head bob. You couldn't call it on the wire. Celestial Gaze was the beaten favorite this day. I thought he got a good trip overall, but just came up literally a whisker short.
Yeah, this is one of those photos where I actually couldn't tell right away who ended up being your victor in here, and Golden Symphony able to get the victory himself. But Celestial Gaze is one that he has that second in the start. Prior to that, he's been facing some better fields and hitting the board overall. But I thought that this field still had some main contenders that were going to be of a similar level, and we're just seeing him sort of be there but not get the win. And at a short price, I just wanted to go to a horse who I know has the capability at times, but who I have some trouble trusting as well in Chileno.
Obviously, he's the drop back down in class, where the last time we saw him win was first off the claim for Brad Cox for the 35. He's been facing much better horses. I know, and his buyers are probably a result of just the class, not necessarily of his running, because to me, he hasn't done that much running.
I agree.
But against this field, he should be able to put his best foot forward.
I think so. I think that he's one that just seems to have that level of consistency showing up against some tough company. We've seen many of his races prove to be productive moving forwards, especially the last one, Dreamlike, coming out of there and getting the victory the other day. And he's just been in some really difficult spots. So I think that this is one that makes sense for him, where he only really has, to me, 2 to 3 other main rivals.
I think one of those other rivals who is number 4, Gunner Bay, as he's second off the claim here for Linda Rice. But, first start here in New York for Linda. And I find that is always a bit of a telling point. I think they generally run better when they're here with Linda in New York. And his main advantage is his speed.
Absolutely. I think that he's going to find himself in front in here, and that could be enough to end up getting the win, because you have a horse towards the outside in Shattuck who's that deep closer. You have Celestial Gaze, who's kind of one that's going to sit off of another horse. And then Chileno doesn't really have as much early speed as of late that we have seen it at times.
Right.
So I think that this is the one that does find themselves on the front end.
All right. We'll see what shakes out here. Race 7. Claiming 30, non-2 life, going the 6 furlongs. And we do see a handful of drop downs in here. We'll start with Skytown, who you have on top. Takes the blinkers off. This will be the first time this horse shows up for a tag. And for me, it just feels like this horse has never taken a step forward.
Probably hasn't. And I think that first time in for a tag is the main angle that I'm going for here. And also coming in second off of a little bit of a break, where the blinkers are now coming off with this horse for the first time, has been facing some decent company overall. We've seen some of those good New York breds go on to do quite a bit. And even if this horse gets back to some of the early maiden races, I can get rid of the race where this horse is trying the mile in the Gander. I can get rid of the race first off a little bit of a break. So maybe there are some excuses built in for this one, who I thought would still be a fair enough price. But I get having your questions about this horse, because you're right. He hasn't necessarily shown that he can improve off of some of those early numbers.
Why do you not like Spirit Dragon?
I just want to sort of see it again against horses that are those drop downs coming into this spot, because you do have a couple that are the types that have just faced, to me, some better company overall. And while this horse is still fairly lightly raced, the 78 buyer does stick out a little bit. I felt as though this horse having that one win, he was able to control on the front end. And I just sort of want to see what type of effort we get against a horse who might not have things totally his own way in here, as well as facing some better company, potentially.
I thought he ran well here to be second behind Shadow Surge, who was able to wire the field, dictate things on his on the front end. And for me, Spirit Dragon was the only one kind of rallying through the lane. And he's shown in the past that he can be forward. So for me, I thought that, especially with Jamie Rodriguez climbing aboard, he should sit in a position that he should be able to capitalize on. We both used number 7, Mogo, which is the other Linda Rice horse in here. The Linda Rice horse in here. As he comes back as a gelding. I think he just makes sense a bit.
Yeah.
Just a horse that you have to use, has plenty of races to go back on. And then the other John Terranova horse, which is the other kind of drop down in here, Red Miller.
And just had no chance in those last 2 races.
Right.
Really facing much, much better fields. And we've seen both of those races, again, prove to be productive moving forward. So does this horse have a race that's necessarily fast enough? I think yes. And especially showing up in the way that he did over Sergeant Caps. We saw that horse win yesterday. We'll see Metatron later today.
No, we won't.
We won't. You're right. We won't. Just kidding. Lies. But he also has the ability to be forward.
For me, I prefer this John Terranova horse because the one time that he showed up for a tag, he won. He delivered. And we know that about him. And plus, you're dealing with a New York bred, so you might, especially when you kind of pick through the horses, that Skytown has faced. I think that Red Miller's just faced a notch better than him win at those better levels. Yeah. So I wanted Red Miller of the 2 drop downs for the Terranova barn. Race 8 is the Bay Ridge, our feature on this card, $125,000 for the New York bred fillies and mares. We are traveling a mile, and it feels like the top 2 horses in here, which is Landed and Bernie Takes Charge, both of them have speed.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be interesting to see who establishes that early supremacy in here. And you have to think that Landed is likely to go having more of that inside position and showing that she seems to do her best running when she's forward. But we see this as something that happens with Wesley Ward runners, where they try different surfaces. They have different periods of time off. We've seen her do well over this racetrack. But I felt as though this was a day in the Broadway where the rail was the place to be, and that she took advantage of that.
Okay. But who do you think is faster, actually? Because it feels like Bernie Takes Charge.
I think with intent, we'll see, but I don't know.
It'll be interesting to see who actually asserts himself. Obviously, Landed drawn on the inside. Her hand's a little bit forced, but it feels like Bernie Takes Charge is a touch better going those 2 turn distances. Just agree. A touch. I mean, not significantly, but enough. And last time, though, she ran so well in defeat.
She did. Yeah, I agree completely. She was able to have the forward position that we are accustomed to seeing from her. She was coming off of a race that she had absolutely no chance in, where she was a little bit difficult in the gate behind Torpedo Anna, in the personal ensign. When we see her establish some forward position, she's really tough, and I think that she's one that she fights for it too. So it'll be interesting to see, like you said, whether or not we see her able to get the lead, or if we actually see, God forbid, a pace duel occur and somebody else ends up picking things up. But I think that these are your main 2 players, because it's to me a gap back to 100%.
Else. Isn't that crazy? That was only 2 months ago.
Yeah, it was like years ago.
The springtime, the grass is so green. Look, the next possible option in here is Cupid's Heart, and her biggest problem often is getting out of the gate, though we saw her break actually pretty well last time. She ran well.
Remarkably good early speed last time. I mean, she's one that I like more as that closing sprinter type, but I think that maybe being taken out of what is her best element, she still ran very well to finish second behind Curlin's Girl in that start last time out. She's kept stellar company really throughout her career, and maybe she ends up getting the right kind of trip just off of your 2 horses that we think are the top contenders that have that early position.
You got a little love for Atlanta's Queen, for Gary Capuano?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. I think that she's one that also likes to be forward, but doesn't necessarily need the lead. And
She only has one race, though.
I needed a fourth pick. I don't know what to tell you.
Okay. All right. No, that's fine. I feel you. Race 9 is a allowance for the New York Breds. Another mile and an eighth affair here. As we'll take a look and start the conversation with, I think, the horse who is just so much to beat, as you do too. That's number 10, Concord Spirit. His 2 races for Gustavo have been very good, and when he was beaten this day, it was by a nose, and last time he was trounced by Mo 88, who, if he's not a multiple stakes winner in his future, I'd be gobsmacked.
I would be surprised as well. I think that with this horse in particular, do you worry that he's going to be bet even more because of the kind of performance that we saw yesterday?
But I mean, yes, that is absolutely possible, but who else are you supposed to bet in here, I think,
Nobody.
is also the problem.
Yeah, no,
You
for
know?
sure. I think that that's completely fair. And we also have seen him when he was going the mile and an eighth 2 back, he was forward, and then he was able to really come from further back to still get second, which seems like he has that tactical ability to really adapt to whatever may play out in here. I would like to see him be a little bit more forward with the 2 turns, especially going from that further outside post to try to get over before that first turn. And it seems to work well for him 2 back where he was barely defeated. But who has faced horses like he has recently and still shown up and done any running?
Exactly, because it feels like his next closest competitor is a horse who's going to have to come off a bit of a layoff. In number 7, Hey Toby, who is also coming off a terrible effort.
A significant regression, and we haven't seen this horse really try the mile and an eighth in quite some time. And when he did, it was a while ago, and he did not run particularly well. So we're seeing this one come in fresh, and we'll see what the tactics are. But another horse that is capable of being forward and maybe has a couple races where he was in form at one time, but just not necessarily as reliable to show up, where he hasn't run particularly well fresh off of the bench, except over at Finger Lakes.
Yeah, I felt it was a big gap back because you're also dealing with horses that, you know, Rob Atras has gotten Bob John Ray, a little bit more back into form, but those are against some pretty weak fields.
Yeah, and Ministerial did no running the other day.
Right.
I think that this is a much better group than he's been facing overall, and this is a tougher level where you have some horses with a little bit more back class, I thought, than he did. But I think Concord Spirit's an overwhelming single for many in here.
Yep. As race 10 will round things out on this Sunday afternoon, claiming 17,592 life, going the 7 furlongs, and this is a tough race to get excited about. As we'll start by talking about, I don't know, did we get that extra replay for this race? I'm hoping somebody will. Awesome. Thank you, Chelsea. We'll start, though, with the Take Me to London Timia race from November 15th. We will make the rider on Take Me to London. I wrote it down. Didn't I?
I have Louis Rivera Jr.
I have
he
that,
is
too.
back today.
He is back
so
in
we will
action.
see.
I don't know, Sarah. I don't like this filly. I mean, I get where she can win, why she can win. She was wired last time by Carolina Smoke Show, but
Such
meh.
a short price last time.
Yeah.
And
Oof, why she was favored, I don't know.
Flavian Pratt.
I mean, I know. Right, exactly. I know, but yeah.
And the lowest class level that she'd been in. But look, I think that it's not necessarily a horse that you're dying to bet at a short price when we've seen her be this short price before at this level and still end up being, I thought, pretty soundly defeated in there. And look, she does run into a rival that she was able to defeat last time in Timia towards the outside in there. But could I say that she's necessarily shown up and run some better races than a couple of horses she's faced before? I don't know.
Yeah, and I think the horse to beat is number 4. It will be fun, which it is not fun to ride her. As seen, Savachi will try. Because let me tell you, the last few times for Flavian Pratt, your Reigning Eclipse Award winner, it has not been fun. So let's check this out, Sarah.
Yeah, the head up in the air like a giraffe immediately at
She
the
has those
start.
blue blinkers and Michael Dub colors.
And now she's nowhere.
Now she's nowhere. And then what happens? She says, no, I must run off. So now she's going to throw her head back in his face and run off. And really, run off here. I promise it'll happen soon.
There it
right
goes.
now.
Yeah, I mean, doing herself absolutely no favors throughout the early portion of this race. Getting herself into some forward position. I don't think this was anyone's idea in particular, except for hers, to rush up and be a part of things. And this is not necessarily the kind of aggressive move we see, where I think it was more just let's stop arguing with her and see what is available to us at the end in this race, because you're going to expend that energy no matter what.
But oh man, she is difficult. I mean, last time she put, or sorry, 2 starts ago, she put those blinkers on. You know, she runs in just a very mild snaffle. It'll be interesting to see what Ilkay Cantor-Massey brings her over in, because she's just her own worst enemy. And I think Shaheen Savachi's fabulous. He has great hands, but so does Flavien Prat. So I'm taking her, just hoping that there's some sort of magic that she minds her manners today.
Some horses are just so sensitive in that way, so we'll see if they can figure something out with her. But I thought that she still ran well, given all of the antics in that race, to still ultimately end up finishing 4th, a well-beaten 4th in there. But if they can figure something out with this horse where she doesn't put herself behind so much, I think that she could be a clear-cut winner of this race, because if you can bottle up all of the exactly, we agree.
Yeah, making it boring. Same exact for the last race. But that will do it for this edition of Talking Horses. Sarah, thank you.
It's never boring with you, Maggie.
Oh, that's very sweet.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we try. My God, I really need some help with my contacts. I feel like a blind bat up here. Anyway, I think I can read the slates if we want to go through them again.
You know them by heart.
So I do know them by heart. Am I kidding? Sign up today with a Naira Bets account, and you can earn that $200 deposit match bonus when you use promo code bonus200 over at NairaBets.com. And then you can opt in and earn that 10% exacta bonus here at the Big A. I wonder if that's Bernie Takes Charge.
I think it is, right?
We'll see her today, too. And Oaklawn Park, we're offering that 10% win bonus, as you can opt in as well at NairaBets.com. And then opening day at Santa Anita, that's why we've lost Mr. Prat. Here on this card, you earn those 10 times loyalty points when you play opening day at Santa Anita. And we have that cross-country pick 5 with Aqueduct and Oaklawn, starting in Aqueduct's 9th. The feature over at Hot Springs, the Oaklawn Anywhere Overnight Stakes, and rounding things out with their 9th. And you can catch all the action on America's Day at the races. Coverage on FS1 today from 2:30 to 6. Well, for Sarah El-Badwi, I'm Maggie Wolfendale, and Chris Griffin. He's up next with a reprise of those scratches and changes, and as he promised, some rider changes too.
You bet with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Download the Naira Bets app to play today and get a $200 deposit bonus. Watch live horse racing, get expert picks, boost your bankroll with weekly promotions, and hone your handicapping skills with exclusive tips and tutorials. Download the Naira Bets app now. Sign up now to claim your $200 deposit match bonus. You bet with Naira Bets.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Aqueduct. At this time, we ask that you please rise, remove your caps as we honor America with the playing of the national anthem.